These WeeklyPay ETFs by RoundHill have completely changed how I invest for income. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Spencer, and I have been tracking the weekly dividend ETFs since their inception, multiple years of tracking data now. And I'm really excited today to talk about the WeeklyPay ETF series by RoundHill. There's now 16 of them, and I did invest $100 into each at inception. So I'm going to showcase exactly how you can utilize these to retire, to make insane dividend income, and of course, how you should be tracking all the numbers. So I hope you guys do enjoy. Don't forget, if you're interested in dividend investing and ETF investing, to hit that like button and the subscribe button. Helps me a ton. I really appreciate it, and it shows me what you guys want more content on. So let's roll that intro. So we have three very important things to discuss in this video. One, how can we use these to retire for crazy dividend income? And thirdly, what's the best way to track them? Well, I want to first showcase the WeeklyPay universe. These funds are different. They're not options based. They utilize something called swaps. And what this does is they're using a leveraged portion of each individual stock to give you returns. So what that means is whatever Microsoft does, ticker MSFW, is going to give you a 1.2x return of that. So if Microsoft goes up 10%, you're getting a 12% return. If it goes down at 10%, you're getting a 12% deficit. And that's how these funds work. They're leveraged. And now I know people may not even call this income, but it is I think it's a insane way to change the way we invest in dividends, because you're taking out quite a few things. The number one thing you're taking out is capped upside. You no longer are going to get a fifth of the total return when a stock jumps 10% in one day, which is really common with what we see with a lot of our options ETFs. It's why we see funds from all over the board, from RoundHill, from YieldMax, Granite Shares, all these funds, they struggle on days when the market is super hot and you have those crazy green days because you're capped on the upside with the options they're running. These are not. I'm not going to dive too far into the technical side of these ETFs, and I'll be honest, I still have questions about these. I'm hoping to get RoundHill CEO on the channel so we can discuss these, how they work and what happens. I have a few key questions. I've talked with other creators about these, and they're a little bit tricky. It's different than what we've seen, but the process behind how they work is really intriguing to me, and it sounds like a home run. But there's still some caveats that you have to address when it comes to investing in these ETFs, whether it be for retirement, for growth, for dividends, and everything in between. So first things first, let's discuss all of the funds. Now, you guys may already know all these, so bear with me. We have a WeeklyPay ETF, which again is going to utilize 1.2x leverage for the following underlying stocks: NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, Coinbase, Palantir, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway or BRKB, Robinhood, Meta, Netflix, Broadcom or AVGO, AMD, Google, Microsoft, and MicroStrategy, MSTR. They also go by just Strategy now. And this is, I really can't believe no one did this before RoundHill. And I'll be honest, I think it was a home run. Now, again, you can still lose money with these. There are some of these that are deeply in the red, but it utilizes something different than just options-focused investing, to where the underlying market is still always important. But if you believe in the long-term performance of a stock, these are no-brainers. And now I know leverage can scare some people, and they do state that if a fund were to drop, I think it was like 83.5% total, you would just be wiped out. You would lose all your money because of that leverage component. Now, if you believe any of these funds are going to drop 80% or even 50% anytime soon, it's probably not the right investment for you. But they are utilizing a way that we can purchase growth stocks, get a dividend, and still have a growth component. And that's what absolutely blows me away with this. And again, it goes both ways. Some of these are way up, some of these are way down. It all depends on what you think is going to do well in the long term. But what RoundHill is doing is they're changing the income game by simply stating you don't have to utilize options. You don't have to do this or that or write calls or, have that implied volatility. You don't have to focus on the alpha of the underlying to see if it's going to make you enough money. You can simply say, I think Coinbase is going up next week. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to get a 1.2x return on it with the dividend and the overall growth of my investment. And that's game changing. And when this first came out, I didn't think they were going to be this crazy. I really didn't. I liked the idea. I was like, oh, it's just a leverage component. Kind of seems like a growth fund, but you get a dividend with it. And they have blown me away since. Some of them, of course. But the process and how you can decide exactly how these funds are going to perform, that all comes down to us. That was a bad way of putting it. How you do with these weekly pay ETFs is not a factor of the underlying fund. This is not a group of strategists that are writing options on these funds and they're like, oh, I think it's going to do this, so we'll predict this and we'll make this much money. And then that happens and boom, they make money, or it doesn't and they lose money and we see NAV erosion. No, this comes down to what you think the underlying fund is going to do. There's nothing else involved. It's just us, guys. That's what I think is so intriguing with these ETFs. Now, I know they are single stock ETFs, which is, well, most of them are. They're single stock, which can be riskier. But I want you guys to really think about this. Really think about if this is something that you could utilize for retirement. For me personally, I own Amazon, I own Tesla, I sold Tesla, I own Coinbase. I've held so many of these underlying stocks. And I hold them for the growth component, of course. I hold NVIDIA. I hold so many more, especially if you include them in the ETFs that I own. But you can simply utilize these to retire on dividends, as long as, of course, you have the upfront capital. So if you have not noticed, this is a updated version of my spreadsheet that I've created for the channel to track everything. And it's updated because it's now a Google Sheet instead of a Microsoft Excel. There were a number of issues that I should have seen coming. One, the Excel spreadsheet, you have to have a version of Excel. If you don't have Excel, you can't buy it. It doesn't work on the Mac OS system, which is wild. They don't have all the updated tickers. Now, all of those problems should be gone and away, and the developer's been working super hard on this, and I'm really pumped. So it doesn't showcase all the power yet. We're still finalizing a couple of details, and I'm really excited to show exactly what this thing can do. But I want to showcase the dividends we've been paid out. Now, this is a cheat way of doing it. So, because I took a drip calculator, I took all the dividends that have been paid out since I bought these funds, and here they all are spread out. That's how I put the dividends in. Normally, you're going to see a smaller payment every single week, and I will be doing an updated tracker on all of these ETFs. And there's some big things coming with the channel. I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are as well. I'm really pumped. We have a Discord server that's going to be going live. That's going to be kind of like a cheat code of tracking what's taking off and what's underperforming. There's so many cool things coming. But I want to look at the positions tab and see exactly how the funds have been doing. So we're back in the positions tab, and now we're sliding all the way over. We can see TSLW is at a near all-time high. We're climbing, which is great. It's actually still $10 off a 52-week high. So it has quite a bit of room to grow. And you can go through and check all of these. All of these have been performing, some really well, some really poorly, and it all is based off that leverage component. NVDW is up. TSLW is up. Finally, it was red for a long time. Now it's in the green. Apple's down. Coinbase is ever so slightly down. PLTW, which has been the best performer so far, is doing really well. It's doing absolutely amazingly well. It was up 80% at one point. It has pulled back. And again, the leverage component being a key factor. The others, some red, some green. HOOW's in the green. It should be more in the green. Robinhood stock has been going nuts. And then we have another big winner in GOOW, which I didn't even know about. NFLW is a really poor performer, and this actually might be a time that I buy in. I missed the boat on Netflix when it went crazy low post-pandemic, and I do believe long-term in Netflix. I know there's so many streaming services that are combating it now, but they have a lot of original series that I like, but not to get too far into Netflix. But there are some of these that are absolutely destroyed. MSTW has been awful. I feel so bad for the fund issuers that are putting out funds on MSTR, and it had so much popularity, and I don't know if it's going to bounce back up. There is a new MSTR fund by Granite Shares, their Yield Boost series. And now is a better time to start it. We have MSTW super in the red, MSII super in the red, and MST by Defiance super in the red. Not because of the ETF issuers, but simply because of MSTR's performance, which has been very disappointing. But this total return is absolutely amazing. So we do have a couple of big winners, a couple of big losers, and this just showcases exactly why you can not only retire on these, but you can have insane dividend income. You can pick your absolute favorite stocks. Me personally, a no-brainer, and not just because it's up in the green, NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been performing so well over the last 5 years. And although I think most of the run is done, I think it's going to slow down on its growth portion, it is still a consistent performer. And so you can get a 1.2x leverage exposure to the underlying. And that's just amazing. It really is, because in order to utilize that, you could use it with margin, you could track all of this individually, but these ETFs simply do it for you. Now, there are some downsides. The expense ratio, I think, is too high for what they're doing. They are making a lot of money on these funds, and although a lot of them are performing really, really well, it is tough to send away my hard-earned cash to simply hold an ETF. And now there's one more we need to talk about down below, that is WPay. And before I go into exactly how I'm going to utilize these to retire myself on the dividend income, we are going to look at the underlying performance of these stocks. But WPay is something that I am so happy about. In fact, I already purchased $1,000 worth of this ETF because I want to watch it. I believe in it. I think it's going to do well in the long run. And WPay simply holds all of the other funds, in all the other WeeklyPay funds. So it holds 15. And now I know you're looking at this and going, well, a lot of them are in the red. How are you going to factor that in? We're getting into a scarier market, I will say. So WPay may underperform if we do fall into a bear cycle. But long-term, it makes a lot of sense. I am a big fan of most of these stocks, and instead of having to hold them all individually, I could just own WPay and have some safety with it. So even though HOOW is not up as high, AVGW is not up as high, I would have those kind of as a safety net in case PLTW falls, in case NVIDIA falls, in case Coinbase falls, which it did. It fell hard. So Coinbase at one point was up 60, 70%, and then they had terrible earnings, which sunk my position as well, which was very unfortunate. But this style of ETF is a game changer. And I love the 1.2x leverage. I think it's a safe amount of leverage where you're still getting more in your returns, but you're still getting sleep at night. It's not like even a 1.5. I like 1.5. It's a little bit riskier, of course, but I mean, you're not a 2x or a 3x leverage component where you're like, oh my gosh, if this drops steadily or heavily one day, I'm going to lose my entire investment. No. So I think it's a really good idea. And now let's look at the underlying stocks for these ETFs, because that is really going to be the component of if you fail or succeed in investing in the WeeklyPay ETFs. I've inputted all 15 into the Seeking Alpha comparison tool. You can use my link below if you're interested in Seeking Alpha Premium or their Alpha picks. I'm going to be doing some content on those on my smaller channel, Spencer Invest Stocks, because it's just so fun. I'm really enjoying it. And the Alpha Picks program is actually really cool. I'd never used it before. Disclaimer, they gave it to me for free, right? So I'm not saying it's worth the money. I'm not saying it's not worth the money. I'm going to explore it a little more, and then I'll give some more feedback. But I do love the price comparison tool. This is a free feature. So what we can see is all of the underlyings are plugged in. And this is going to be a 1-year return, which isn't going to make 100% sense with the underlying, right? Because HOOW, Hood is up 443%. The Hood ETF, HOOW, has only been out for a month and a half, something like that. So it hasn't capped that full upside. Same thing with PLTW. PLTR is up 380%, but the fund didn't launch in time to catch all of that. But I did want to showcase on the year, these ETFs, are they all in the red? Do I have too many selected where I can't even see them all? On the year, most are in, I guess I can check up here. Looks like they are all in the green. And now what makes a massive, AMD is in the red, and MSTR is still up 86%, but we missed that run. But the best performers, Hood, Palantir. So to have WPay, if WPay had been trading for the full year and we caught this run, it would be an income producing machine. So would a lot of these individually, because that leveraged portion. At Broadcom, AVGO is up almost 90%. And although we are in a crazy bull market, and listen to me, come on. We are not going to see this market every single year for the rest of our lives. We have to utilize them, capitalize on it when we get the chance. But don't look at this year and go, oh, I'm going to make 190% on WPay next year because all the underlyings performed this well. We don't know what they're going to do. You could have a crazy loser that drops, I don't know, you could see one drop 40%. We've seen MSTR recently fall pretty hard. But it's just, keep that in mind. But the idea behind this of holding these, you're holding a stock like Google. I don't think Google's ever going to drop more than, maybe it goes down 20, 30% in a really bad year. Worst case scenario, 40%. I would simply purchase significantly more shares at that time. And, I would just watch it run back up. These funds bounce back. These underlying stocks bounce back. We watched Netflix absolutely tank. If we zoom all the way out, look at some of these funds. Nvidia was up 1,000% at one point. It has pulled back. Now PLTR is in the lead. So they do move all over the place. But if I was to hold each and every one of these for, let's say, the next decade, do I think I'm going to be in the red or in the green on all of them? I would say I'm going to be in the green in all of them. In that amount of time, who knows what's going to go on? We could see a pullback, but in the end, I believe that stocks go up primarily, especially these big name stocks. So this is definitely a game changer in how I invest for income. And now let's talk about how I track everything. And I will be doing this in 2025. So my plan, I'm not even sure how I'm going to do it. I might do it just straight up in my Roth IRA. I might put all of these in my Roth IRA and I can't put 1,000 into each of them, put 500 into each of them, depending on how well YouTube does, right? Because I don't have that much in cash currently, but I would love to track them with more money invested in each of them and showcase the actual returns and like how you can actually live off of dividends, especially if you think in the long run these are going to do really well. But I'm using this spreadsheet to track all of it. And there's a number of reasons why. Again, I'll put out a full video. I'm going to launch it this week. This thing will be available for purchase this week for those that are interested. It will be priced at $35 and I'm doing a sale for $5 off for the launch. And it's going to probably go for a month or two. So don't sweat it. Think about it. It is a purchase. It's an investment. But I've used this to track my own portfolio, and it's really changed how I look at my returns and what I'm doing with my dividends. And it's actually completely changed how I invest because I used to have drip on, and I've changed that. But that'll be in another video this week. I'll launch it with the link to purchase and all that good stuff. But what we can see here is you're going to eventually, I haven't been investing for a full year, you'll get your annual dividend income. We have the importance of our cost basis and our market value, showcasing if we have NAV erosion. We'll see price gain, total returns, and then we see total dividends paid out. So you can actually see what pays the most in dividends. And when it comes to these ETFs, when you look at options-based ETFs, a lot of the YieldMax funds, some of them will pay a lot, but they won't be the best performers because like LFGY versus CHPY. LFGY pays probably 15% more in distributions at an annual rate, but it underperforms CHPY because they're paying out so much, the NAV is falling. And where I don't think these are going to have any sort of NAV erosion because it's a leveraged fund, you can't really have NAV erosion. If these are going down, it's just because the stock is going down. You will be able to see all of this. And that's a really, really key portion. But when we're looking at this, the most dividends paid out are going to be some of the best performers. So PLTW, HOOW, which isn't a top performer, but has paid a lot. And then TSLW, COIW, good stuff. But also some of these have been trading for longer than others. But this is a key component to how I plan on retiring. I want to look at this and go, you know what? Here's my expected annual income. Here's how much I need to live off of. Let me find if I need 800,000, if I need 1.5 million, how much money I'm going to need. And then I can input in all of these numbers and see how close I am to getting there. So at the end of every month, it'll show me my monthly breakdown, how much money I made. So for these ETFs so far, I have been paid $128, almost $129 in dividends. This is going to do a weekly and monthly breakdown showcasing if I had a good week, a bad week, what I can expect, and all of that good stuff. So I love this tracker. I think it's going to be a really important part of my investing series, and I will be showcasing it for all of my series I do here on YouTube. So I hope you guys are excited. Let me know. I always want feedback on these. I want it to be something everyone will use, and I will be putting WPay in here when the time comes. So let me know what you guys think about the WeeklyPay ETFs by RoundHill. I think they're a phenomenal idea. I think, again, it's going to really come down to how you select the underlying stocks, what you think is going to do well, or if you just buy and hold the bunch with WPay. But all in all, I've been waiting to do a new series on these. A new one will be coming out for 2026, and I couldn't be more excited. As always, thank you guys so much. We've reached like 32,000 subscribers. You are absolutely amazing, and I'm really enjoying growing our portfolios together and learning about these crazy income ETFs as we just overall want to retire. We want to get wealthy, we want to retire, and that is our ultimate goal. So don't forget, if you like this video, to like and subscribe, and check these out on your screen right now, including my most recent video on WPay. If you want to know how it's going to be performing based off of the performance history of the other ETFs, check that one out. Let me know what you think. And again, don't forget to spread some love today.